The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with an electric tension that defied the typically sterile diplomatic environment. Rows of international delegates sat in calculated silence, their eyes fixed on the raised platform, where humanity would first meet an extraterrestrial civilization. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her slate-gray blazer, her fingers brushing against the quantum encryption device hidden beneath her lapel. Years of preparation had led to this moment. As the lead first contact specialist, she represented humanity's most advanced diplomatic team, a carefully selected group of scientists, linguists, and strategic experts. Ambassador Krulax of the Zornak entered the chamber, his arrival preceded by a shimmer of gravitational displacement. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, the alien's exoskeleton gleamed with iridescent scales that shifted between deep purple and metallic gray. 4 compound eyes scanned the room with predatory precision, while multiple appendages moved with calculated grace. The translation matrix hummed to life, bridging the linguistic divide. Krulax's native language translated into a deep, resonant voice that seemed to vibrate through the chamber's acoustics. Representatives of Earth, the alien began, his tone a mixture of academic detachment and barely concealed condescension. The Galactic Confederacy has deemed your species worthy of direct communication. This is an unprecedented honor. Elena stepped forward, her posture relaxed yet alert. Years of studying alien psychology had prepared her for this moment. Where most would show deference, she chose a different approach. An honor? She repeated, a subtle smile playing at the corner of her mouth. I was under the impression we were here for mutual dialogue, not to receive a proclamation. Krulax's additional eyes, mounted on flexible stalks, focused directly on her. The translation matrix captured a hint of surprise in his response. You misunderstand the nature of our visit. The Confederacy has been monitoring your civilization for several solar cycles. Your technological development, while marginally impressive for a young species, remains far beneath galactic standards. Behind Elena, Dr. Ramirez, the team's lead xenolinguist, tensed. But she remained perfectly still, knowing every micro-expression could be interpreted. Interesting assessment, Elena responded, her voice calm and measured. Might I inquire about the metrics used to determine technological advancement? By our understanding, perspective matters a great deal. Krulax's appendages shifted, a tell the human team recognized as equivalent to barely suppressed irritation. Metrics are comprehensive. Energy consumption, computational complexity, interstellar travel capabilities, quantum manipulation. By all standard measures, your civilization remains in its infancy. Elena's smile didn't waver. Beneath the diplomatic veneer, she was planting the first seeds of what would become humanity's most sophisticated technological counterintelligence operation. Infancy is a matter of perspective, she said softly. Potential is not measured by current capabilities, but by the capacity for innovation. As she spoke, her fingers subtly activated the quantum encryption device. A microscopic data packet began its silent infiltration of the alien communication systems, a digital probe disguised as routine communication interference. The chamber remained silent. Delegates from 100 nations watched the exchange, understanding that this moment would define humanity's first steps into a larger galactic community. Krulax seemed to process her statement, his compound eyes flickering in what might have been confusion or calculation. Potential, he repeated, the translation matrix rendering the word with a mix of academic curiosity and underlying dismissal, is a human concept not easily quantified by objective standards. On the contrary, Elena responded, potential is precisely what defines evolutionary success. And humanity, we're just getting started. Little did the Zornak know that this seemingly simple diplomatic meeting was the first move in a complex, multi-layered strategy that would reshape galactic understanding of human capability. Jack Harper's fingers danced across the holographic interface, a constellation of data points swirling around him like digital fireflies. The underground research facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with a controlled intensity that spoke of humanity's most closely guarded secrets. 3 weeks had passed since the first contact. To the outside world, nothing seemed changed. But beneath the surface, a global network of the most brilliant minds had transformed into an unprecedented intelligence machine. Incoming transmission, a synthetic voice announced. The wall of screens flickered, revealing fragments of intercepted Zornak communications. Jack leaned forward, his cybernetic eye, a prototype that merged human perception with quantum-enhanced imaging, zooming into microscopic details. "Got you," he muttered. The Zornak believed their reconnaissance was undetected. They were wrong. Every scan, every probe, every piece of alien technology was being systematically analyzed, reverse-engineered, and neutralized before it could gather meaningful intelligence. Dr. Yuki Nakamura, the facility's lead xenotechnology expert, approached Jack's station. Her holographic tablet displayed a complex neural network of intercepted alien data streams. "They've been watching us far longer than we initially believed," she said, her voice a controlled mix of professional detachment and underlying tension. Jack's artificial eye flickered, processing the information. "How long?" "Approximately 73 years, Yuki responded. "Small reconnaissance drones, quantum entanglement communication nodes, low-energy passive sensors. They've been collecting data since the late 1950s. The revelation hung in the air like static electricity. Humanity had never been as alone as they thought." A secondary screen lit up. Dr. Marcus Chen, connecting remotely from his quantum computing lab in Singapore, appeared. "We've cracked another layer of their communication encryption," he announced. "It's fascinating. Their entire communication network operates on a principle we've never conceived." Jack watched as Marcus manipulated holographic representations of alien communication protocols. What looked like random noise to most was an intricate dance of quantum information to these experts. "They're not just watching," Jack said, connecting the dots. "They're waiting. Waiting for what remained the critical question." The facility's security systems suddenly went into high alert. Quantum-shielded barriers activated, creating multiple layers of protection that would make penetration impossible for any known technology. "Incoming quantum anomaly," the facility's AI announced. Yuki's fingers flew across her interface. "It's not an attack," she said, her voice tense. "It's a message." A fragment of alien data began to resolve. Not a communication, not an attack, something else entirely. A piece of information that suggested the Zornak's interest in humanity was far more complex than simple reconnaissance. Jack's cybernetic eye parsed the data, converting alien quantum signals into comprehensible information. Fragments of star charts, genetic sequencing, historical records began to take shape. "They've been studying us," Jack said, "but not like we thought. This is more like preparation. Preparation for what remained the most terrifying unknown." Outside the facility, the Atacama Desert stretched endlessly, a perfect metaphor for the vast, unknown battlefield humanity was now navigating. What had begun as a simple first contact had transformed into a multi-dimensional chess match where the stakes were nothing less than human existence. Jack Harper understood one thing with absolute clarity. The real war wouldn't be fought with weapons. It would be won through understanding, adaptation, and the uniquely human capacity to turn the impossible into reality. The research complex in Bangalore pulsed with an energy that defied conventional scientific boundaries. Dr. Aisha Khan stood before a holographic display, her fingers tracing quantum algorithms that seemed to dance and breathe with a life of their own. "We're missing something," she muttered, her voice carried a weight of frustration and determination. Across the room, Marcus Chen hunched over a quantum computing array. At 26, he was the youngest lead researcher in the global initiative, a prodigy whose mind worked in patterns that made even the most brilliant scientists pause. "Not missing," Marcus corrected, looking up with bloodshot eyes, "transforming." The global initiative had brought together the most brilliant minds from every continent, a united front against an unknown threat. What had started as a defensive posture was rapidly becoming something more, a complete reimagining of human technological potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez entered the lab, her diplomatic experience now merged with technological insight. The first contact had changed everything. What the Zornak saw as a routine assessment, humanity saw as an opportunity. "Status report," she demanded. Aisha's holographic display exploded into a complex network of quantum interactions. "We've discovered something extraordinary," she said. "The alien communication protocols aren't just a method of transmission. They're a form of distributed intelligence." Marcus jumped in, his fingers dancing across multiple interfaces. "Their technology doesn't just communicate, it thinks. Each transmission is part of a larger, living information ecosystem." The implications were staggering. Traditional human communication and computing were linear, structured. This was something else entirely, a fluid, adaptive intelligence that existed beyond traditional computational models. "We can't beat their system," Marcus continued, "so we're going to become it." A young programmer named Zora Martinez approached, her tablet displaying a radical new algorithm. "What if," she said, her voice trembling with excitement, "we don't just copy their technology? What if we fundamentally rewrite the rules of computational thinking?" The room went silent. Her algorithm was a nightmare of beautiful complexity. It didn't just process information, it evolved. Each computational cycle was a form of learning, adaptation, mutation. Traditional quantum computing looked like an abacus compared to this. Dr. Khan's eyes widened. This could work. This could actually work. Outside the complex, the world continued its normal rhythm. Unaware that inside this lab, a handful of human minds were rewriting the fundamental principles of technological interaction. Marcus displayed the algorithm. It wasn't just code, it was a living system. Each line shifted, adapted, grew. A technology that learned faster than any AI, that could predict and counter threats before they fully formed. "We're not just developing a defense," Alina said, understanding the deeper implication. "We're creating a new form of intelligence." The quantum array began to pulse. Not with electricity, but with something more, a rhythmic heartbeat of pure potential. Zara's algorithm started to spread, not through traditional networks, but through quantum entanglement, jumping between systems faster than light, learning, adapting, growing. Humanity's first true technological offspring was being born. In that moment, in a research complex in Bangalore, the galaxy's understanding of human potential was about to change forever. The first wave of Zornak ships dropped out of faster-than-light transit precisely at 3:47 Greenwich Mean Time. Sleek obsidian vessels that defied conventional physics, they moved with a predatory grace that suggested millennia of evolutionary warfare. Admiral Sarah Lockhart watched the holographic display, her augmented command interface parsing incoming data faster than any human mind could comprehend. The Global Defense Network, a system developed in absolute secrecy, hummed with potential. "They think this is a surgical strike," she murmured to her second-in-command, Commander David Chen. "They have no idea." The alien vessels approached Earth's orbital defense zone, their quantum shift capabilities rendering traditional tracking systems useless. A lesser civilization would have been paralyzed. Humanity was anything but lesser. At the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, a team of scientists and military strategists worked in perfect synchronization. Dr. Marcus Chen's quantum algorithm, the breakthrough from the Bangalore lab, was about to be field-tested in the most extreme conditions imaginable. The first alien probe struck the outer defense grid, or rather, attempted to. Instead of a traditional shield, the defensive system was a living, breathing entity. Developed from the quantum adaptive algorithms, it wasn't a static barrier, but an intelligent, predictive defense mechanism. The alien weapon passed through what seemed like empty space, only to find itself instantly neutralized, its energy signature completely dissipated. Commander Chen's voice crackled through the communication network. Target neutralized. Pattern recognition engage. Admiral Lockhart allowed herself the briefest of smiles. The aliens had made a critical mistake. This wasn't just a test of Earth's defenses. It was an opportunity. Activate Protocol Phoenix, she commanded. Across the globe, a network of satellites, disguised as communication arrays, weather monitoring systems, and commercial infrastructure began to align. Each was a piece of a larger, more complex system, not just a weapon, but an adaptive intelligence gathering platform. The Zornak fleet began to realize something was wrong. Their quantum communication networks started to fragment. Information became noise. Tactical advantages dissolved like mist. In orbit, the first wave of experimental human defense drones emerged. They weren't traditional weapons. Each was a quantum-entangled processing unit, capable of learning and adapting in milliseconds. Where one was destroyed, two tactical responses would emerge. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from the United Nations Emergency Command Center. This was more than a military engagement. It was a statement. They thought we were primitive, she said to no one in particular. They didn't understand that every attempted invasion is an opportunity to learn. The battle transformed. What the Zornak intended as a show of force became humanity's most important technological proving ground. Each alien weapon was instantly analyzed, its energy signature mapped, its quantum mechanics understood and countered. Commander Chen's voice cut through the communication network. Adaptive response at 98.7% efficiency. They're reading our defense faster than they can attack. Admiral Lockhart watched as the alien fleet, once seemingly invincible, began to scatter. Not in retreat, in confusion. This, she said quietly, is what happens when you underestimate humanity. The first strike became humanity's first lesson, and the galaxy was about to learn that Earth was nobody's easy target. The world had changed in ways no one could have predicted. What began as an alien invasion had become humanity's most profound moment of collective awakening. In a makeshift command center beneath Sao Paulo, Rafaela Santos guided a swarm of autonomous drones with a precision that would have been impossible months ago. Her fingers danced across quantum adaptive interfaces, each movement a symphony of global coordination. Bogot node is stabilizing, she called out. Across the room, technicians from 12 different countries worked as a single organism, their diversity becoming their greatest strength. Halfway across the world, Dr. Wei Zhang monitored quantum communication networks from a research facility in Chengdu. The alien attempt to disrupt global communications had backfired spectacularly. Instead of breaking humanity apart, it had forced an unprecedented level of technological integration. Adaptive mesh network at 99.2% efficiency, Wei reported. His voice carried the quiet excitement of someone witnessing a fundamental transformation of human capability. In Lagos, Adebayo Okonkwo coordinated a global civilian response network that defied traditional military hierarchies. Ordinary people had become extraordinary. Hackers, engineers, scientists, and everyday citizens working in a synchronized global effort. The Zornak had fundamentally misunderstood humanity. This wasn't a war of traditional military might. It was a conflict of adaptive intelligence, of collective human potential. The holographic display in the Sao Paulo Center showed the global response. It wasn't a map of military positions, but a living, breathing network of human collaboration. Every node represented not just a defensive position, but a point of innovation, of learning, of resistance. Rafaela watched as a new algorithm, developed by a team of teenagers in Mumbai, began to predict and neutralize alien communication patterns. They're learning faster than the aliens can adapt, she muttered. Wei Zhang's voice crackled through the communication network. It's not just technology, it's evolution in real time. The alien invasion had become humanity's crucible. National borders dissolved. Competitive industries merge. Every human skill, from quantum physics to street-level engineering, became part of a global immune system. In orbit, experimental defense platforms created by international teams demonstrated capabilities that defied previous understanding of warfare. Each platform was more than a weapon. It was a living testament to human creativity. Adebayo's civilian network intercepted and decoded alien communication fragments. What the Zornak believed were secure channels became windows into their entire strategic framework. They never understood cooperation, Rafaela said, watching the holographic display. They see conflict as a zero-sum game. We see it as an opportunity to grow. The world had transformed. What the aliens intended as a conquest had become humanity's greatest moment of unity. Every attempted attack became a lesson. Every defensive strategy became an innovation. In research labs, command centers, and makeshift communication hubs across the planet, humanity was writing a new chapter of its existence, not as separate nations, not as competing interests, but as a single unified species with an unlimited capacity for adaptation. The Zornak had awakened something far more dangerous than a military force. They had awakened humanity's true potential. The weapon had no physical form in the traditional sense. Event Horizon was pure information, a quantum algorithm that existed between states of matter and energy. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the central control room, her hand hovering over the activation interface. Surrounding her, a global team of scientists watched with a mixture of anticipation and existential dread. This was more than a weapon. It was humanity's declaration to the universe. Quantum entanglement stabilized. Marcus Chen reported, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. All global nodes are synchronized. The Zornak fleet hung in space, believing they were preparing for another systematic assault on Earth. They had no concept of what was coming. Event Horizon wasn't a traditional weapon. It was a quantum information cascade, an algorithmic weapon that could simultaneously exist across multiple points in spacetime. Where conventional weapons destroyed, this would fundamentally rewrite the rules of engagement. Targeting parameters locked, Commander Jack Harper announced. His cybernetic eye parsed information at speeds beyond human comprehension, tracking potential outcomes with impossible precision. The first wave of alien ships began their approach. Sleek obsidian vessels that had decimated countless civilizations, now facing humanity's most radical technological innovation. Belena's fingers touched the activation interface. Nothing happened. At least, nothing visible. Across the galaxy, communication networks began to fragment. Quantum communication channels used by the Zornak Confederation suddenly became unintelligible. Navigation systems twisted into impossible geometries. Defensive protocols collapsed into recursive loops of meaningless data. The alien fleet stopped, not from external force, but from internal paralysis. Event Horizon is more than a weapon, Elena said quietly. It's a complete reimagining of technological interaction. Each alien ship became a node in an involuntary network. Their own communication systems turned against them, creating a cascading failure that spread faster than light. Not through destruction, but through pure information manipulation. Marcus Chen's algorithm had done the impossible. It didn't just attack, it understood. Every quantum signal, every communication protocol became a pathway for human innovation. Zornak command ships began to drift. Not destroyed, transformed. Psychological impact is tracking at 98.7% efficiency, Jack Harper reported. The numerical precision masked the true significance of the moment. Across communication channels, other galactic civilizations watched in stunned silence. Humanity had just demonstrated a technological capability that defied everything they understood about warfare, communication, and technological evolution. The weapon had no physical ammunition, no traditional destructive capability. It was pure potential, an algorithmic weapon that could rewrite the fundamental rules of technological interaction. They thought we were primitive, Elena said, watching the alien fleet become a network of confused, interconnected systems. They didn't understand that for humans, limitation is just another word for opportunity. Event Horizon was more than a weapon. It was a message. Humanity had arrived. and the galaxy would never be the same. The Zornak Confederacy Grand Tribunal hung in absolute silence. Holographic representations of their most senior leaders flickered with an unprecedented sense of vulnerability. High Archon Krulax, the same ambassador who had first encountered humanity, stood at the center of the chamber. His once imposing exoskeleton now seemed fragile, the iridescent scales dulled by the weight of total defeat. "We have miscalculated," he stated, his translation matrix carrying a tone of profound existential dread. The Event Horizon weapon had done more than disable their fleet. It had fundamentally dismantled their understanding of technological warfare. Every strategic model, every computational prediction, every millennia-old approach to interstellar conflict had been rendered obsolete by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Admiral Sarah Lockhart watched from the United Nations Stellar Command Center. Her augmented interface parsed the alien communication networks that were now completely transparent to human analysis. "They're not just defeated," she told Dr. Elena Rodriguez. "They're comprehensively deconstructed. The final confrontation wasn't a battle of weapons. It was a battle of understanding." Across multiple star systems, Zornak infrastructure began to collapse, not through direct destruction, but through a cascading failure of their own interconnected systems. The Event Horizon weapon had turned their greatest strength, their quantum communication network, into their most catastrophic vulnerability. Marcus Chen's quantum algorithm continued its relentless analysis. Each alien system became a learning opportunity, each communication channel a window into technology centuries beyond human understanding. "It's not about winning," Marcus muttered, watching the holographic displays. "It's about understanding." The civilian networks that had developed during the conflict now became humanity's most powerful diplomatic tool. Hackers, scientists, engineers, a global collective that had transformed from a defensive force to an adaptive intelligence network. Krulax's communication to the human leadership was nothing like their first encounter. Gone was the condescension. What remained was a species confronting its own limitations. "We did not understand." The translation matrix rendered his words. "Potential is not measured by current capability, but by the capacity for transformation." Humanity had just repeated the aliens' own words back to them. The Zornak Confederacy's collapse was total, not through military might, but through a fundamental reimagining of technological interaction. Their quantum networks, once their greatest advantage, now lay exposed, their strategic models dismantled. In the United Nations Stellar Command Center, a moment of profound silence descended. "We didn't defeat them," Elena Rodriguez said quietly. "We showed them a different way of existing." The cost had been significant. Orbital platforms destroyed. Communication infrastructure damage. Thousands of lives lost. But something more profound had emerged. Humanity had not just survived an alien invasion. They had transformed the very concept of interstellar conflict. As the holographic displays showed the final disintegration of the Zornak strategic network, one thing became crystal clear. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. 5 years after the Event Horizon confrontation, humanity stood at the precipice of a new era. The United Nations Stellar Exploration Council convened in a massive orbital station that was part research facility, part diplomatic hub, part testament to human potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked out at the vast expanse of space, her reflection overlaid against the infinite darkness. The woman who had first encountered the Zornak was now humanity's primary diplomatic strategist for interstellar relations. "We are not conquerors," she told the assembled representatives from emerging human colonies and allied alien civilizations. "We are explorers, learners, transformers." The station itself was a marvel, constructed from technologies adapted from the Event Horizon breakthrough. Each section told a story of human adaptation. Quantum communication nodes developed from alien technologies now served as bridges between civilizations. Defensive systems that had once been weapons of last resort were now tools of diplomatic engagement. Marcus Chen, now leading the Quantum Exploration Initiative, presented the latest breakthrough. A new form of faster-than-light communication that didn't just transmit information. It created living networks of cultural and technological exchange. We're not just traveling through space, Marcus explained. We're creating connections. Across multiple star systems, human colonies have become something unprecedented. Not isolated outposts, but living, breathing ecosystems of innovation. Each colony was a unique experiment in adaptation, drawing from multiple cultural and technological traditions. Admiral Sarah Lockhart, now heading the Interstellar Diplomatic Corps, understood the profound shift. The military mind that had once prepared for conflict now orchestrated a complex dance of cultural and technological exchange. Our greatest weapon, she often said, is our capacity to understand. The Zornak Confederacy no longer existed as a unified entity. Some of their civilizations had been absorbed into broader galactic networks. Others had begun their own processes of fundamental transformation. The event horizon had been more than a weapon. It was a catalyst for cosmic evolution. Jack Harper, his cybernetic augmentations now more subtle, worked on the frontier of human-alien technological integration. What was once a defensive technology had become a platform for unprecedented collaboration. A holographic display showed the current state of galactic relations. It was no longer a map of territories, but a complex web of technological and cultural exchanges. Humanity was not at the center, but it was a critical node in an ever-expanding network of understanding. Dr. Rodriguez touched the display. Countless civilizations flickered with potential. "We are not special because we defeated the Zornak," she told a group of young space explorers. "We are special because we chose to learn from them, because we saw conflict as an opportunity for understanding." The station's quantum core pulsed, a living representation of humanity's new approach to existence. Not conquest, not defense, but continuous, unbounded exploration. As the first human faster-than-light exploration vessel prepared for its maiden voyage, something became abundantly clear. This was not an ending. This was just the beginning.